Thank you, Representative Grijalva. Now we will go on to questions at this time, and I'm going to start out with 5 minutes worth of questioning. First, Ms. Emanuel, in regards to closures on Forest Service land, I've experienced multiple closures on National Forest Land System land and amenities throughout my district in northern Wisconsin. I hear about it from frustrated constituents. In fact, we're going to have a hearing in regards to this coming early October. It's from people who want to recreate, hunt, fish, camp, and enjoy our federal lands. Does the Forest Service coordinate with local stakeholders before reducing access?
So the question is whether we coordinate with the state entity on a closure?
State and local.
State and local. So when we must close an area, we go through a process that is usually, the closure is usually related to public health and safety. And we have a process for noticing that. And we generally coordinate with all affected parties anytime we have to close an area.
So it's your understanding that you always contact those local and state governments that are being affected by this?
I would say that that's the plan. I mean, the ideal situation would be to coordinate any closure with an affected stakeholder. I don't know that that can always happen depending on what the situation is.
Isn't it the coordination, the requirement to coordinate, isn't that a requirement?
To coordinate closures? If it's our land and depends on the reason for closure, but I would think that we would generally reach out and connect with all affected parties, especially if it's a longer term closure.
How does the Forest Service define coordination?
Working with others, communicating.
There isn't a definition in, so if you go back to like FLIPMA and some of the other overriding statutes that were put in place over 50 years ago, they specifically required coordination. And I don't know, Mr. Reynolds, if you want to jump in also in regards to this, you're certainly welcome to, either one of you, if you want to answer that question. How is coordination actually practiced with local communities?
I will chime in and just say we, much like our Forest Service colleagues, have it in policy. So, for example, there are civic engagement policies under our director's orders. There's the definition of communication and coordination in our policy manuals for the field superintendents. And so, much like the Forest Service, we do require that standard of our field employees, and we are happy to talk about it if it's not happening.
So Representative Zinke's bill would require the National Park Service to coordinate with local stakeholders, hold public meetings, and open at least a 60-day comment period before any action is taken to reduce access. Would the Forest Service support including similar requirements before reducing access on the National Forest System? Either of you?
I'm sorry, sir, could you repeat that?
So the National Park Service, under this proposal before us, it would require at least a 60-day comment period before any action could be taken to reduce access. So that's really the heart of the proposal. Would you support something similar to that for the National Forest System in addition to the National Park Service?
I think we would have to look and see what policy is in place and whether or not it's working. But we certainly support whatever outcome you're trying to get after here. If we can improve on the kind of coordination that's needed to give people the kind of experience we want to do that.
So earlier this year, during another hearing focused on recreation, I asked the Forest Service about closures of boat ramps and other Forest Service facilities in my district. The Forest Service followed up and assured me there are plans and funding available to rehabilitate boat launches at Beaver Lake, Cisco Lake, Stock Farm, Twin Lake, and Mondo. Do you have an update on the status of those boat launches?
I can certainly get you a status on those, but I do understand that we are investing in those boat ramps.
So I would just highlight for you that we're having a hearing in regards to access that's coming up here real soon in a couple weeks, and it is a big concern by a number of my constituents that access is being denied to the National Forest System. With that, I will yield and recognize the gentleman. What's that? Okay. I'd like to recognize Representative